Howdy there, friends. My name is Rabbit, and thank you so very, very much for joining me for episode 162 of our playthrough for Jade Cocoon 2. We are, as usual, continuing to make our way through the bonus content here within the post-game, and we just arrived at Barren Earth number 1, so just so that we are not consuming too much time with an opener here, let's just dive right in. We've got a bit left to go with regards to the older forests, but I feel pretty confident that we should knock everything out fairly soon. But one thing that is already looking different from our previous batch of episodes is that I'm not thinking we're going to get through this as quickly as we did the water forest events. And wow, this guy is not going to cut us any slack whatsoever. So yeah, we'll just continue running on through. Not really a lot has changed, so let's not worry too much about it. Let's just go with the flow and feel the vibe of whatever forest we happen to be in and whatever cutscenes happen to unfold before our very eyes. So as for banter between us, I was sharing with you guys just my own personal frustrations with people and their expectations. And in general, I guess kind of a rough follow-up to a conversation that Andrew and I had regarding if my introversion could move a little bit along the spectrum closer to extroversion if I encountered people that were a little bit different and didn't drive me as insane as people normally tend to do. And I don't know. It's hard to know for sure how much of your current disposition is related to the people that you're interacting with or how much of it is just naturally who you are. And wow, Luther barely needed that, but whatever. Just so that it's not cluttering our inventory, we'll just plop that on him. But yeah, it's hard to know how much of it is related to your interactions with people or how much of it is your nature in general. And then because you already have that disposition, your encounters with people are not rewarding. I don't want to even say it like that because it makes it sound like I don't enjoy companionship or interactions with strangers, which is absolutely not true in the slightest, my friends. But anyway, so there was that. I talked for quite a while about that whole situation with Nancy and Beth. So shifting gears, I guess just to update you guys on some other fun, and I say that in air quotes, stuff that's been going on. My workplace has been a bit of a shit show lately, and not even for me. That's a thing that's often interesting. Andrew and I were chatting about this also, where I seem to get mostly fortunate in that I kind of fly under the radar. I don't know if it's because, for the most part, my supervisors in the past, as well as co-workers, they usually leave me alone. Like, I do my job, I do it exceptionally well, and I'm always willing to help out other people. I mean, even just randomly, because we are tied to a clinic, the other day there was a kid that got sick and actually vomited in the waiting room, and I went out there with the smell ease and with some stuff just to clean it up, and no one had to ask me. I was just walking by when I heard some people talking about it and heard things kind of going on, revolving around it, and no big deal. Like, I wasn't working on any education projects or anything at that specific time. I can't remember why I was walking and roaming through the halls of the actual clinic itself, but that doesn't really matter for the story. What does matter, though, is I think people for the most part recognize that about me, that if I'm in the right place and I see something going on and I have a minute to spare, like I'm not going out to an expo or I don't have a specific deadline to meet within the next hour or two and I need to look shit over, you better believe I am all about doing whatever it takes to keep things running smoothly and to help someone else's day be a little bit better. So, not to toot my own horn, I feel like most people, when they really stop and think about it, want to help each other, or at least that's what I tell myself, so that I don't completely become bitter and antisocial, because I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe most people are selfish assholes and they don't really give a shit about you or the things that you do. They just care about themselves. But I try to tell myself that most people do the best that they can. And there are days when I think all of us have a lot on our plates and we're thinking about a lot of things or trying to understand what's happening in our personal lives, and then you get to work. And yeah, I think sometimes you can have a reasonable separation between work life and personal life, but I don't think it's feasible to expect people to always be able to do that. I know for the most part, if my world's crumbling behind me, so like even just thinking about everything following my dad's death, like I did take a little bit of bereavement leave, but I wasn't gone for that long. I think I was gone for a total of, oh gosh, you guys. Oh my God, please let me buy. Aha, get wrecked. Scrub. I think I was gone for a total of, with the vacation as well, Andrew and I had left for 10 days. And then prior to that, I'm just going to guess I missed about a total of maybe 16 days, 17 days, a little over 2 weeks, so nothing crazy. But I think for some people, we've seen, even just looking back through records and even just thinking about my own interactions with people and knowing what's been going on in their lives and other jobs that I've had. I remember there was someone who miscarried her third child, and she ended up taking a leave of absence and was gone for 2 months. And I'm not saying like there's anything wrong with that. I totally get it for a family that's your dream to have a large number of children, and every time you attempt to conceive, it's an ordeal. And then when you are successful in the process of conception, you can't carry the child to full term. It's disheartening and awful. So anyway, I'm saying that just to think that I know for some of us, it is hard to fully remove everything going on in your life from your work. And that's why you have leaves of absences or like bereavement leave. And so for me, like my bereavement leave was only a couple of days, which is so stupid. Our company, I don't think, had encountered a significant loss yet, which still seems like it should have been built in. But my bereavement leave at the time, I think, was 3 days, and now they bumped it up to a week after seeing that I needed more time. So I took the 10 days for vacation, which had been pre-planned, and then the actual bereavement leave itself, I think I took like a full 7 days. So I'm thinking that's where I'm getting this number of 17-ish. Maybe it was 16, but either way, I think they realized people need like a full week to process loss, especially if it's like a parent or a child or a close sibling. I mean, any sibling really. It's all just terrible. And how do you go on with such a significant loss and this hole that's in your heart that's going to take a while to heal, if it ever even does? So with that being said, I know for me, like I knew I needed to take a full week away from my work engagements, because in spite of the fact that I consider myself pretty successful in my ability to compartmentalize what I'm feeling and what's going on in my life from the work that I do, that was too big even for me. So with all of that random backstory, I guess, being disclosed, I guess I say all that just to say I try to look at where people are at each day when they're acting like assholes or appearing as though they're not doing their best or like they're not thinking about the rest of the team. I try to think, okay, what's going on in their life? Maybe they're getting a divorce or they're on the brink of it because they've been fighting with their husband/wife nonstop for the last 2 weeks and they're reaching their breaking point. Or maybe it's something even just like someone is trying to navigate a new diagnosis they just got that they don't feel comfortable disclosing with us yet. Maybe someone is, I don't know, considering a career change because they're really unsatisfied with where they're at, but they're not sure if they want to risk it, if they want to go back to school, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, I'm just throwing out a slew of random scenarios. But my point is I try to process people's behaviors through that lens and through that filter where I'm like, okay, Cindy or Alex, I'm going to give you the benefit of doubt for right now that the reason why you're not working hard and you're acting like an asshole is because there's shit going on. But I feel like other people do not extend that same level of grace, and it It's nuts. But anyway, I guess the point of like all of this, I'm like telling you guys 3 different things that all are supposed to just be tied to one story that I'm leading into. So anyway, I feel like for the most part with all of the jobs I've held, people recognize that I really do a good job and I stay in my lane. I do what I do exceedingly well, and I try to help out other people so that they can also be successful in whatever it is that they're undertaking. And I try to, in general, set up every school that I've worked for, every research lab that I've worked for, whatever. I try to set everyone up for success, not just myself and not just my immediate department, but the establishment and entity as a whole. It's just very important to me. Teamwork and collaboration in general, I think it just makes everyone's lives significantly easier, and transparency too in what's going on. I hate departmental secrets and people excluding purposefully other groups from certain knowledge points or information. It just is such a weird thing to me, but it's a problem for sure where I'm working right now. But anyway, I almost always fly under the radar. I've never received any sort of workplace discipline. I don't know, like minus maybe occasionally I've had directors try to target me for things, but I call them out. See, that's the difference I think also between me and a lot of people, is that I am not afraid of confrontation. So if someone is trying some shady shit with me, I 100% will go up to someone, whether they're my supervisor or my supervisor's supervisor. And of course, I believe in professionalism and respect, and like I said, giving people the benefit of doubt. So I always approach those confrontations from a humble position where, you know, I'm acknowledging that you are in an elevated status compared to me and that maybe my perception of the situation is inaccurate, but hey, this is what I'm seeing. Can you correct my perception, and let's talk about how we can avoid you making me feel this way in the future, or what I can do to discourage you behaving in this way. Because if I'm not happy with it, then more than likely other people aren't happy as well, because I'm pretty chill, you guys. I am not that person who's looking for things to be salty about. I like to get to work, do my job, and get the fuck out of there. So if I'm mad about something, it's probably a big deal, or at least somewhat inconvenient. And I've already got 3 of those. I don't need any of yo shit, but thanks for buying my shit. I forgot how convenient it is to have the shopkeepers appear so sporadically in forests. I mean, it's nice because you can just keep picking up random shit, and even if it's really not worth that much, I can sell it somewhat frequently and not have to worry about carting everything back to the actual temple or dropping a bunch of different things, because I know I'll have a chance to sell them before it's all said and done. And money has not been the easiest commodity for us to come by at this point in the game. So anyway, I don't mind confrontation, and I feel like I do a really good job of, when it's necessary, advocating for myself, or at least my reputation. I don't think I always do the best job of advocating for myself when it comes to things like raises or me needing a resource and I think the company should pay for it. Like, usually I'm just like, whatever, it's not a big deal. I'll just behind the scenes make sure that I get compensated in some way, whether that's me extending my PTO an extra hour and letting my supervisor know verbally, but I'm saying, like, I'm not documenting it because this hour that you guys will be covering for me is going to pay for whatever it is that I did on company time, but I don't think anyone's going to acknowledge it or, I guess, authorize a payment for whatever it is I covered. You know, little things like that. So that I probably could be a little bit more bold and brazen about, but sometimes I feel like it's a pick your battles situation. Like, how often do you really want to be rocking the boat, and what is going to be the outcome of you rocking the boat? Like, if it's going to lead to some significant change, then definitely I will challenge that. But if it's just going to be annoying and possibly ruin someone's day, and it's something that I know I can carry and or find a workaround to, then I'm going to leave it there. Like, there's no reason for me to bring someone else's day down or stress someone else out about something that I already know my integrity is so high that I'm not going to take advantage of the situation, but I'm going to do what's right for me and for others. So I don't know. I guess I think I do a good job of balancing that out and identifying what's worth dragging a bunch of people into, what's worth me doing myself, and what's worth me maybe doing behind the scenes with one or two people being aware, but us not escalating knowledge and awareness of the situation, I guess is the best way to put it. So there's been a lot of shit going on at work. 2 days ago, we actually extended 2 performance improve, and by we, I mean the company. I'm not involved in this at all, but it's just nuts because one of them is a somewhat good friend of mine that I've made here. I've talked about her throughout this series at some point, that she's very quiet, but she's very beautiful, and I think it's led to a lot of people misinterpreting her personality, and it blows my mind actually when I think about her, and even just thinking about the things that I might have shared with you guys about her. I've gotten to know her significantly better over the last few months, in that I will repeat some of what I've said before, that I think when people look at her, she's so physically beautiful, you guys. Just, she's tall and she's fit, but still curvy, and not not that it matters, but she's not fat curvy or chunky curvy. She is just curvy, has wider hips, but she exercises a lot. She runs marathons, or used to, so she's very athletic, I guess, but still, I think, a very stereotypical sexy. Not that I think physical appearance matters at all, and I think that someone is beautiful because of their spirit, not because of their physical appearance, but I'm describing her how I think most people would view her, where she's got these humongous eyes. She almost looks like a deer because her eyes are just so big, and they're this sky blue, and she's absolutely stunning. However, she's not super approachable, I think. She's got resting bitch face to the max. But I think, again, people shouldn't take that and then just assume she's a bitch. And I think actually quite the opposite has been her problem, where people see her and they think that she's going to have a certain personality, so they approach her because they're drawn to women who behave that way, but she's not that way. So she's incredibly conservative, which is surprising. I'd say she's modest like me when it comes to dress, so she's not very much about showing off her body or showing off the fact that she is beautiful. She's very humble, and I didn't expect this from her, but she's extraordinarily religious, and her husband's also very handsome. They are beautiful, beautiful people. The two of them are going to have the most gorgeous kids the world has ever seen. Her husband's 6'3" and has a very athletic football player type build. He's got this thick black beard and also icy blue eyes. Just a very nice guy, and he likes to sing and do theater, so he's also super charismatic, and he's just a nice guy. They're a really fascinating couple, because she's more guarded but sensual, because she's kind of mysterious, and he is certainly an amiable, athletic, I don't know, Greek god. I don't know how to describe him without sounding like a weirdo. But they're both very beautiful, wonderful people, and they complement each other's personalities quite nicely. So the thing of it is, though, I think people look at her and they look at them and they think that they're maybe superficial, so they try to strike up conversations with her that revolve around those expectations. I've even seen some therapists approach her and say things to her like, "Oh my gosh, I really love your shoes. Where'd you buy them? I love shopping and the beach and keeping up with the Kardashians." And this girl that I work with, that's not her at all. We'll just call her Bethany. I know, I feel like I already used Beth in my Nancy and Beth story, but we'll just call this one Bethany. Bethany is not into that kind of superficial stuff. She really doesn't care about reality television. She's opposed to a lot of modern representations of, I guess, how people should behave and what people should value. And so when people approach her that way and try to talk to her about those things, she's just sort of taken aback because she's, I think, nice in her responses, but I think she's a little too straightforward maybe, in that she just lets people know, like, actually, I don't really care about TV. I like church. And she'll say things that maybe, I guess, can come across a little bit not snooty, but I think it just catches people off guard and they're taken aback because she's not a bullshitter. She is kind, but she's not going to be like, oh, yeah, and humor you in the random conversations you bring up with her. She will approach it, I think, maybe too practically. And I know I'm bad about this sometimes too. If people catch me off guard with things they say to me, like I've had a few times, I know I've talked about this at some point on the channel, maybe not in this series itself, but like when I was in undergrad, for whatever reason, a lot of people thought I was Ethiopian, and so I almost always, for the full 4 years I was there, would have people come up to me speaking Amharic, or if they thought I was lying about it for whatever reason, they challenged it in a really aggressive way. And so I reached a point where I became, I guess, a little numb to how I responded to those accusations, where I just got sick of it. And, you know, that's not right. I should extend more grace, have more patience, and just calmly address, like, hey, I know word on the streets is that I'm Ethiopian. Just letting you know, I am not. So if you could just let everyone know that I'm not, I don't speak Amharic. I understand a little because everyone keeps approaching me thinking that I speak it, but I do not. So please let it be known. Spread the word. Stop coming up to me and accusing me of lying about who I am. Even if I was, it's none of your fucking business. So you do you, and I will do me. So I get it. I'm not saying that to defend maybe how Bethany responds to people that approach her with superficial topics and conversations, but, you know, I get where she's coming from, where in her mind, it probably gets old having people look at you and view you as just maybe a stereotypical dumb hot girl. And so they talk to you as though you're a stereotypical dumb hot girl, and you want to be respected and acknowledged differently. I don't know. I see both sides, where for some people they're like, oh, I didn't mean to offend her. I don't know anything about her, and I thought we could talk about keeping up with the Kardashians. Like, yeah, that's kind of stupid of them to let that be their icebreaker with her based on what she looks like. But in their defense, maybe they only interact with one type of person, and they're not sure how to go about striking up conversation with someone who's different from them. So I see both sides. But I guess all of this backstory around Bethany is to say that she has not been well liked, I think, in different departments at this place. I think certain directors aren't too fond of her because they thought she was going to have a personality that she didn't end up having. And then I think other departments that aren't necessarily overseeing her role, but work collaboratively with her position. So she does a lot of our intake related stuff and some like psychological support. She's not a counselor. I think her bachelor's is in psychology, but she just does a lot of, I guess, like hands-on interactions with families and just processing medical stuff. And I wouldn't say it's counseling, more like consultative and support. Consultative support role? Yeah? I don't know. I don't know everything that they do. It's not my department, and I'm not that involved in it. I'm in the education role, but I see a little bit of what she does, and I think families like her a lot because she is kind, and she's a very good listener, and she is a spirit that's very gentle. And I think some people, when they do talk to her, are relieved that her personality is not what they expect. Some people, I think it takes them aback and they don't like it because she is very blunt and doesn't like being approached as though she's like a stupid hot girl. But other people, I think, value that, wow, she's beautiful on the outside and the inside, and she's very gentle and she's very thoughtful with her words, and she's very professional. And she's a little bit younger too. I think she's like 24, 25. So I think that adds to it as well, that she looks like she'd just be one of those young girls that loves hanging out on the beach and sucking dicks left and right, which again, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not who she is. And that's for whatever reason who people constantly believe her to be. So families, I think, love and appreciate that she is this beautiful, gentle diamond in the rough that has your back and thinks about you, and she's just super mindful about other people, and she does a really good job at her job, or in her job, from what I've seen and what I've heard. But it still goes without saying that she's not well liked, and I don't think that's a secret. So I don't feel bad just coming out and saying it. Like, she's not super liked because people have misinterpreted her behaviors a lot, and I don't think that she had the personality to hide some of who she really is, whereas I'm not saying anyone should ever be expected to be something they're not. Like, I just finished talking to you guys about everything with Nancy and Beth, and that it pisses me off that they expect me to be someone else when they were well aware of who I am. But I think, again, as just like a devil's advocate counter argument or counter thought to all of this, I think that Bethany could have possibly just tried being a little more patient with people, or just letting them talk to her about stupid things, because I have people that approach me and they're not really sure, like, again, for whatever reason, I feel like when it comes to minorities, people love to know like what you are and where you're from, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I know I have an appearance that is a little uncertain. Like, some people think I'm from the Dominican Republic, others think I'm Brazilian. Even just yesterday, there was someone cleaning our apartment complex, and he just came up to me and started speaking Spanish, asked me a question. Like, I understand a little Spanish, and it's something that I'm working towards proficiency in, but I'm not fluent in Spanish. And so I just had to look at him, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I actually don't speak Spanish fluently, but I'm happy to answer your question in English. If you could ask me again in English so that I know exactly what you're wanting to know. And it kind of threw him off guard, and he was like, wait, you're not like from the Dominican Republic? It's like, I could have sworn like you were, like you look just like, and it's like, I get it. People love to know where you're from when you are a minority, or when you have kind of an unsure look about you. And it gets old, you guys. I think that's one of the reasons why, unless I really know you and I talk to you kind of one-on-one, I don't talk that much in detail anyway about my family and exactly where my family immigrated from and things like that. And it's not because it's a secret or I'm like running from my past or my roots, but it's just one of those things where I feel like, just take me for who I am, and if I get to know you, I will share some of those details like I would with any friend. But I don't like it when people just assume who I am or where I'm from and then talk to me that way or label me as that. I get it. I get what Bethany's issue is. It's a little bit different, but at the same time, I feel like I can relate to her feelings on it, in that it's like, come on, you guys, just get to know me, ask me actual questions, and then we can go from there with regards to what kinds of things I like and what sorts of experiences I've had. But yeah, it's super annoying. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. I know sometimes you guys do it too, where I have people that are like, oh, what a great insert race or ethnic label into the comment, and I don't mind those labels, and I often just, agree with them. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me. It's not the end of the world because I know who I am. But I wish people wouldn't make assumptions so much and just speak to those assumptions. It's a little ignorant, it's unnecessary, and it doesn't really affect who I am in terms of how I'm going to interact with you. So why do you even need to put some of those descriptors in there? Why do you need to know some of this information as a person that I don't actually talk to and interact with that much? It's just kind of cringy, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So I can get why for Bethany it leaves a bad taste in her mouth when people think that she cares about reality television shows, shopping, and I don't know, like, what the other stereotypes are that she's often met with, but she's complained to me about it enough to where I get the general idea of what she gets frustrated by. So again, with that being said, do I think she could have done more to just humor some of these people in their ignorance? Absolutely. Just whatever, let them talk about their bullshit and go about your day, because it really doesn't affect you that much if they want to shoot the shit with you in a stupid asshole kind of way. Well, she did not do this. I think for her, because she is so devout in her faith, she didn't like people making assumptions about her values, and so it almost offended her to the point where she couldn't suppress reacting emotionally. And as such, even though she's done a really good job at her work, I think the director who oversees her department, as well as some other people in other departments that have tried talking to her in this asshole kind of way, they stopped trying, and I think they are now a little bit jaded and bitter about who she is. So it was a lot of drama revolving around Bethany and then one of her coworkers. So I will save all of that for our next episode. I realized we're at 30 minutes. I was trying to knock out Barren Earth, but we're just not going to be able to get through this forest. Actually, I lied. What am I talking about? We did make it through the forest, you guys. For some reason, I was thinking, I am not even paying attention. We're done. The level 5 forest is our goal and is where the new content or the bonus content is going to start. So, woohoo! I guess it was worth it to just droll on and on and on while we were knocking out Barren Earth. So quickly with you guys in tow, let's just head to Kiki Knack and Company, sell the little itty bitty bits of shit that we got. We'll check out the lounge to see if there's a job posting, and then we're gonna just cut this. I can't believe I just totally spaced, and I was like, oh no, I thought we were gonna get through, and ha 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 ha. I impressed myself, you guys. We did get through. That's fantastic. So when we come together in episode 163, we are finally going to start tackling the bonus forest for the earth element, which is wonderful. It didn't take us that long to get through it. Maybe that's why I was caught a wee bit off guard. I don't know. That, and I'm into my story just to make this go a little faster. Oh, what are you two doing here?
I like collecting lots of unusual divine beasts. It's nice if you can catch divine beasts wandering around the forest.
I guess so. What a weird thing to share with me. And oops, my bad. My elbow just hit the controller.
I like battles in the arena better than battles in the forest. Battles in the forest seem to always happen by surprise.
Yeah, that's fucking for sure. Let's see. Water tier. We're not going to the water. What the fuck? Why are both of them in water tier? Ridiculous. I'm not going in there. Ow, I really hurt my wrist, you guys. And it's the same shit as always. Okay. Well, friends, we did what we needed to do. Thanks for sticking it out with me as we... Oh my gosh, it's so insane. I really cannot wrap my head around the fact that we did it and we made it through, and we are going to be ready to tackle Earth Crystal when we resume in episode 163. So thanks for watching, friends. I am your host, Rabbit, and this is our post-game exploration of the bonus content in Jade Cocoon 2, and I will finish telling you my story about all the excitement, if I can even label it as such, that is going on revolving Bethany and other crap at work. So I will see you guys very soon.